In a world where we can learn how to do our makeup online, there is a lot of room for mistakes. There are a lot of ways that you could be sabotaging your makeup looks, your makeup routine without even knowing. But don't worry, as always, I am here to help. So if you feel like your makeup just isn't quite right and you don't know how to make it better, you have come to the right place, my friend. Let me help you. Let's talk beauty. Mistake number one that I see all the time is not having a proper skincare routine, aka skin prep. A lot of people will use, primers and stuff, but they don't take care of their skin. And if you're not taking care of your skin, your makeup is never going to look like you want it to look. So having like a solid skincare routine prior to doing your makeup, you want products that are going to work with the makeup that you're applying on top. So not products that are gonna pill or, that are gonna interact badly with whatever you put on top of them. You also want it to be hydrating, slightly exfoliating in case you have any dead skin cells. You want to be constantly exfoliating gently so that your skin is free of dead skin cells, because that can cause buildup in your makeup, especially like around the nose, around the mouth. You don't want that. I'm just going to show you quickly a few of the products that I use whenever I really want my makeup to look great. These are like products that I use every day, but they also work with my makeup. The only one I don't use daily, I would say, is the Juno Skin Clarifying Cleansing Powder. This is a gentle exfoliator. It's a rice powder that you apply water and activate, and then you can gently exfoliate, and this helps really buff off any like dead skin cells that are lying around in my face. I really enjoy this, and whenever I'm doing my makeup, so whenever I'm filming or I need to do my makeup for an event or something, this is always coming in clutch. And then you want like a hydrating serum. Hyaluronic acid is my favorite. I use a Torrid and Dive-In serum. It's really good. It really adds that moisture without going too far and leaving my skin feeling oily or greasy. It's perfect. I do enjoy an eye cream. I'm currently using the Peach and Lily Pure Radiance Brightening Eye Cream. This illuminates and depuffs. It's perfect. I have bad under eyes, and that is why I prefer to use an eye cream. Some people don't. You just, apply whatever moisturizer you're using on your under eyes, but for me, this works. And then I opt for a light moisturizer because I have more normal combo skin. Currently, I'm using the Veta Derm Lab Light Moisturizer, the M1. Really incredible. Very nice and light, but also very moisturizing, and it keeps my skin quenched and it makes makeup look gorgeous on top of it. So a moisturizer really depends on your skin type and what you're going for, but I would recommend going lighter, not super heavy, so that it doesn't mess with your makeup. And then I always like an SPF. If you're doing makeup for like an event where you're gonna be photographed or a night or whatever, you obviously don't need SPF. The flashback is not going to be your friend, but for the daily, SPF is important. I use a lot of different ones, but one that I love under makeup is the La Roche-Posay Hylu B5 Aqua Gel SPF 30. Very, very nice under makeup, but I rotate them depending on what I'm feeling. So you need a good skin prep before applying your makeup. Make that a habit, okay? Once you nail it, it's very simple. And if you're not doing your skin prep before your makeup, please start. I promise you, you will notice a difference. Another mistake I see people doing time and time again is over applying their makeup. What does that mean? Just adding so much makeup to your face when you're applying it that you end up looking a little cakey and a little heavy. This is partly the internet's fault, because you see influencers do this all the time. Like, they go in with their concealer and they apply so much under their eyes, and then they do like a full like contour blush kind of thing. It looks cool. Not functional, in my opinion. This applies to literally any makeup step, but especially base products. I feel like when you over apply base products, you tend to look cakier. Sometimes, things don't blend well on top, but it also goes for, your brows, your eyeshadow, maybe a lipstick could be an exception. I don't know, but yeah, make sure whenever you apply makeup, you always start with less. That is a rule that I live by, and it really helps, because if you start with less, you can always add more if you feel like you need more coverage, more intensity, more color. But if you start with a lot, it's harder to take off, and sometimes you have to restart all over again. That is a lesson that I've had to learn the hard way, but now I'm here to tell you so that you don't have to learn the hard way. You can learn the easy way. So I'm gonna demonstrate what I mean with a little bit of concealer. I need to do my concealer, so we're going for it. I'm using the Haus Labs Triglow Concealer. What people usually do is this. They boom, boom, do so much. Okay, and this can be a good amount of concealer for some people. I just find it to be a little harder to blend. Sometimes it is just too much product, and as you can see, like, I'm going in with my brush and I can already tell I overdid it. And it does, obviously, depending on the concealer that you use, it's gonna blend differently. And this one is a great concealer, but when you over apply, it tends to look heavier. Okay, I'm not saying it necessarily looks horrible, it just looks heavier. It's covered, but if you look like very up close, it looks slightly too heavy for my taste at least. And if I feel like I need a little bit more coverage in certain areas, if I go back and add more product, then that's gonna look even heavier. So what I like to do, usually, let me demonstrate on this eye, I like to apply some concealer to the back of my hand, like this, and then I prime my brush, something that I learned from Katie Jane Hughes. You just apply product and then you prime your brush with it so that all the product is on the brush, and then you go in. It looks a lot less heavy. If I feel like I need more coverage in certain areas, I can go ahead and use the applicator, but I will use it lightly. You see, and just apply more product on the areas that I feel like need more product. And then blend. You can obviously use whatever you want to blend. You can use your fingers, you can use a brush, you can use a sponge. I will say that sponges are great if you have a heavier hand because they absorb any excess product. So a sponge is beautiful. Look at the difference. They both look covered, but this one just looks slightly heavier. Maybe it doesn't translate on camera, but in person, it looks slightly heavier. I used a little bit more product. Instead, this one looks a lot lighter, a lot more natural, but I still have that coverage. So sometimes less is more, and if you need to apply more, you always can. But if you need to take away, that makes things a little harder. So have a light hand. Start with less and build up as you wish. One thing that I see way too often is incorrect bronzer and contour placement. Now, bronzer and contour are obviously not the same thing. They have one thing in common, and it is that people usually drag them down. They don't apply them high enough, and that drags your face down. It makes your makeup look cakey or muddy more than cakey. So you need to learn how to apply these products to your face to enhance and lift and not drag down. This can be hard, but one trick that I like to use is using brushes that are smaller. So not going in with something huge, using something that is smaller, and you know, that depends on your face, how big your face is. I have to show you what I mean so that you understand how to go up instead of drag down. So I have a contour and a bronzer here. Both of these are cream, but it works with powders as well. Already using my last rule, not over applying. I like to go in and apply my product to the back of my hand, and then I will go in with the brush and prime it. And instead of going down, I'm going up. Okay, so I'm placing the product, and I always like to place the product higher than I think I need to place it, like almost to my cheekbone, obviously not at the cheekbone, but I don't want to place it down. I want to go up and blend up. Okay, when you blend up, your skin and your face, not skin, your face looks more lifted. But if you drag down, that color and that shadow is gonna bring your face down. And that is something you really don't want, obviously. So once you place it high, you can go up, 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 up. And then the same goes for your bronzing products. If you're only using either contour or bronzer, the same applies. Use a light hand, always, and go up. You kind of want to keep it in the hollow, there, and bring it up. And that not only helps your face be more lifted, it also helps enhance your cheekbones because you're leaving all this like negative space here where it's brighter. So that helps your cheekbones pop a little bit more. But yeah, it's very important to place your bronzer where it's intended so that you don't look like you're dead or muddy and dirty. You don't want that. And remember, if you're having trouble, if you feel like you're not getting the technique right, use a smaller brush. That's gonna give you more precision. And again, that applies for literally anything in makeup, any makeup step. Use a smaller brush if you feel like you're out of control. That's an extra little tip in there for you. Okay, this next one might be a little bit controversial, but to me, not priming your eyes when you're doing eyeshadow is criminal. Like, why are you putting so much work into doing your eyeshadow if you're not going to prime and make that last. There is a very big difference, at least for me, whenever I prime. You can always prime with concealer. A lot of people do that. Personally, I do prefer like a specific eyeshadow primer or lid primer, whatever you want to call it. I do feel like that works best, and it makes everything look better, last longer, blend easier, in my opinion, and just, it brightens up your eyeshadows. It brings out the best in them. Let me show you what I mean. So I'm gonna do a bit of swatching, and I'm gonna swatch some eyeshadow on top of an eye primer, and then I'm gonna do a little eyeshadow swatch without any eye primer. I don't know if you're gonna be able to tell with this, but this is the eyeshadow with the primer. Do you see how much more intense it is in this one? This one is kind of lost. Obviously, you still get that gorgeous sparkle, but with this one, it is so much more intense. You can see it when they're both in the light. This one's more intense, this one is less intense, and that is why eyeshadow primer matters. Now, there are a few rules that I like to live by whenever I'm doing my eyeshadow primer. I always apply a little bit at a time, obviously. Just a bit, and then I spread it across my lids. I'm using the About Face eye primer. And I always do want to set this. I know some people don't set, like they like a tacky primer. In my opinion, doing that doesn't really allow products to blend easily. So I do like to set with a bit of my setting powder or like a skin tone shade to help everything on top blend easier. Now, one thing that I do want to say is that if you're doing something like the matte fluid eye paints from About Face, or like a liquid shadow or a cream shadow, primer can be tricky because sometimes primers and those eyeshadows don't mesh well. So if you're doing something more like a liquid or a cream, you don't always need an eye primer. Sometimes these like products like this work great as eye primers or as eye bases. If you're doing, you know, a full-on smoky eye and you want a little bit extra, you can go for something like this as your base, as your primer, and that's also gonna add longevity. If you don't do powder shadows, then maybe you can skip primer. So if you have something like this, you don't really have a primer, you can experiment, and they're also gonna help your eyeshadow last longer. Also, if you're someone who has oilier lids, I don't really have that problem, but if you have oilier lids, if you know you're gonna be somewhere that it's very, very, very hot and you want your makeup to last, why would you not prime your lids? Like, that is a recipe for disaster. Please prime your lids, babe. Because as you can see, it makes everything just so much easier. Everything blends easier. Let me apply a little bit of a shimmer to the lids. And it really allows the eyeshadow to just glow and look gorgeous. So listen, if you haven't given an eye primer a chance, I think you should, okay? Give eye primers a chance and thank me later, because they make life easier. Now we need to talk about a phenomenon that is way too common. I see it so much and it really pisses me off, okay? It pisses me off when people don't know the difference between a setting spray and just like a mist in general. Because I see so many people setting their face when they're done with their makeup with literal water. When you're using a setting spray, what you want to do is set your makeup, make your makeup last, lock it in. And for that, you need a product that specifically tells you that it's going to do that. So for example, the One Size Until Dawn Mattifying Waterproof Setting Spray, okay? The Cali Ray Sunproof Setting Spray, the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Setting Spray, okay? These all have claims that they will set. They're called setting sprays. Now, what isn't a setting spray? A product like the Avene Thermal Water. This is not a setting spray. This is glorified water, okay? It feels very nice. It can be a great step if you feel like your makeup and your powder is looking a little bit cakey, but this is never going to set your makeup, okay? This is not it. Or a product like the Slug Boost by FutureWise. RIP FutureWise, but this is like the only one that I had because I don't use a lot of like mists. You know, most of these are like skincare mists, and that's great for your skincare if you need a little refresh when you're not wearing makeup. But products like these, they're not going to set your makeup. Using them at the end of your makeup might even make your makeup last even less. If, say, like you're using the Caudalie mist, that one I see so often. I see celebrities using it a lot whenever they want to set their makeup. That's not gonna set your makeup. In fact, it probably has some like oils and stuff that is probably gonna like break up your makeup quicker and make it look not great. So yeah, if you want to set, you need a setting spray. There are so many setting sprays out there. There's a lot that are affordable. There are even setting sprays for people who want something a little bit glowier. It doesn't necessarily have to be mattifying, but if you're looking for something to make your makeup last longer, to set it, to lock it in, you need something that actually claims to be a setting spray, not a makeup mist, not a skincare mist, not hypochlorous acid. No, babe, that is not going to work. You need a specific setting spray, okay? So setting sprays and like makeup skincare mists, not the same. Not even Fix Plus. If you have Fix Plus, I know it basically tells you that it preps and sets, like it's a primer and a setting spray. I don't believe that. So please open your eyes to this phenomenon, babe. And if you want your makeup to last and you're applying like some fancy water on your skin at the end of your makeup and it's not really working, that's probably why, because you're not using a setting spray, okay? If you only take one thing away from this video, the difference between what is a setting spray and what isn't, please. This last one might be the most important one. If you feel like you're always doing your makeup, you're following the tutorials, you're doing everything right, and you still feel like your makeup is looking off, that could be because you're always following makeup trends instead of finding your signature makeup look. Okay, there are trends everywhere. Everyone's always coming up with a trend. Everyone, including me, posts their videos and tutorials for people to follow them, and that is super fun. Makeup is supposed to be fun. I definitely believe that. But if you're always following trends and you're not learning about what looks good on you, then that could be why you're always doing your makeup and you always feel like you don't look good, like you're missing something. A few ways that you can learn is by trying to do your color analysis. There are a lot of great tools online to help you figure that out. I have a whole playlist on that because that's how I figured out my color analysis, and that has made my life so much better, and my makeup game has stepped up completely. So that could be a way for you to do that. Learn what colors look good on you, what enhances you, and what doesn't. That could be a good one. Also learning about your face shape. What kind of contour and highlight and blush placement look good on you? If you have hooded eyes, which kind of eye looks look good on you versus which kind don't? You know, learning all these things and experimenting and finding what actually works for you is gonna make your makeup level up so much. So yeah, makeup is fun. You can try trends. But you know, let's say you're going to a wedding soon and you want to look your best, then figure out your signature. Figure out what works for you. Don't just follow a one-off tutorial because you could end up missing big time, right? So I'm a huge advocate for people finding what works for them. Yes, let's play and experiment with makeup if we want to. That's always fun. I love that. I need to do that more. But also, if you need your makeup to pull through, you need to know what looks good on you and what doesn't. And you're not gonna learn that by just following every single trend that is out there, okay? So follow less trends and learn your signature look, okay? Figure it out. I know you can. And once you do, you're not gonna wanna go back because you're gonna see how much of a difference it makes. And those were just a few of my tips on how you can level up your makeup and fix the mistakes that you might be making without even knowing. There was quite a bit in this video, but I still have maybe a few more tricks up my sleeve, so if this was helpful and you want more, please let me know. And if you're struggling with something specific and you need help figuring it out, I would love to help. Leave your qualms in the comments below and I might be able to work that out with you. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope this was helpful. I have a lot of fun doing these more educational videos for you, so if this was helpful, please let me know. And if you try any of these, let me know how that goes for you, okay? Thank you as always so much for your time. I had a blast hanging out with you, and if you want to hang out more, you know where the subscribe button is. Thank you so much for watching. I love you, and I hope to see you right here for my next one. Bye! Mwah.